gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the Newsbeat presented to you by Ladies Like and MC Loy. Follow the beat from the studio to the street. Info with the flow, keep you sharp and in the know. Sit back, relax, enjoy the news, follow. There was dancing and cheering in the streets of Burkina Faso when President Compaoré finally let go. After 27 years in power, he met his final hour. He tried to change the constitution and seek a last extension.
But people had enough, which led to a popular revolution. In a matter of days, people took to the street and set the parliament ablaze.
Everyone was involved, from students to bakers and lawyers. The military had to step in to restore law and order.
And Colonel Zeda was appointed as the new man in power. He promised a smooth transition until the country's first democratic election.
Some analysts wonder if this might be the beginning of what could be known as the West African Spring. Paul Biya of Cameroon has led for 39 years. In Angola and Equatorial Guinea, it has been 35 years.
Poverty and greedy leaders are at danger across the continent. Higher prices, droughts and jobless youth have fueled discontent.
But things will not change just by removing a rogue president and the army stepping in and army given political power.
The military might seal people's revolution. After the uprising in Egypt, we know that's no solution. So let's hope that Burkina Faso, who is rich in gold reserves, will get the fairly elected leaders they deserve. People all over the world want to live in peace. Many countries fight for independence. Let's hear from our reporter Survivor.
Zambia celebrated 50 years of being independent without their president, who was away receiving treatment. President Michael Sata later died in a London hospital and will be buried on November 11th in the country's capital. Zambia has lost 2 presidents in office to poor health. President Mwana Wasa died of a stroke in 2008, but the death of the 77-year-old President Sata has been overshadowed by the ongoing political drama. Dr. Guy Scott, who is Zambia's vice president, was appointed interim president by the Zambian cabinet, provoking hundreds of political cadres into protest, saying Dr. Guy Scott does not qualify to contest. The issue is a constitutional requirement on parentage, which bans anyone whose parents are not of Zambian heritage from contesting for the presidency, putting the vice president, Dr. Scott, at a disadvantage. His parents' British heritage has not come in handy, and yet he has played a strategic role in the country. He served in the very first democratic government. He was also involved in the liberation movement. He is to lead the country through a 90-day transition as the first West Zambian president until the by-election.
Thank you, Survivor, for that news report. Corruption is not only Uganda's trouble. In countries around the world, they sometimes have it double. But many systems are able to punish for bribes with help of functional court, civic scrutiny and fair trials. From Charlotte, North Carolina comes a late story of Patrick Cannon, a mayor who has fallen for glory. He was just sentenced to 4 years in prison. Taking bribes worth $48,000 was the reason. He had been taking money from real estate developers, letting them acquire permits without hassle. He was caught red-handed taking bribes from a businessman who was in fact an undercover FBI agent. The judge said he had to set an example to stop corruption from becoming rampant. Some think the best way to get rich is become a politician, and for the companies, bribery gives them an edge of competition. The problem is the money invested in the elections. Those that sponsor the campaigns often do in hope of future gains. In Washington and Brussels, they call it a lobby, but that with that kind of influence is a threat to democracy. Culture, film, music and creativity all are elements that make the magic of the city. They are also a great way to create jobs and boost the economy and contribute to a happier and more colorful society.
Like Nigeria, who invested more than $1 billion to boost the music and film industry.
Now the world listens to P-Square and watches Nollywood movies. UNESCO launched the Creative Cities Network in 2004.
Since then, 41 cities have received the honor. Together, these cities shared ideas, best practices and experiences on how to promote culture, social and economic development.
To be chosen, a city must become a center of excellence in a specific area, including literature, film, music and folk art.
As well as design, gastronomy and media, Kampala is a great destination for culture and creation.
An ongoing spectacle with film, music, literature and theatre festivals. Now Kampala has applied to join the 7 cities of literature, which include Iowa, Durban, Melbourne and Edinburgh.
Our application is due in March 2015. By then we'll have time to promote our literary scene, showcase Uganda's literary heritage internationally and become UNESCO's 42nd creative city.
That was the news on the beat. Next week will be another hit. Still Ladies Like
MC Loy,
reporting live and direct with love and respect. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.